Hello, Year 5 and Year 6. Welcome to Tuesday's reading tutorial. Today we're going to be having a look at using those inference skills to develop our understanding. Inference is really important at your age particularly. By the time we're in Year 5 and Year 6, those literal retrieval skills, they're already quite confident. We're already pretty good with those. But being able to use inference skills, being able to read between the lines, which is an unusual expression because that's not literally what you're doing. It just means being able to take clues and find out what an author is intending, even if it's not what an author is saying. So let me move myself down slightly so I'm not in the way. As it says here, inference, it's that skill of finding out more information than we're actually being explicitly given. It's very easy to know that a character is sad if the author writes, "This character is sad," or that someone's really nervous if an author writes, "The person was really nervous." But we don't read books that do that anymore. We're reading books that require us to understand and pick up the clues that are available to us from what the author is saying. And those inference skills, we use them every day, whether we know we're using them or not, because they're not something that only exists in books and in texts. We use our inference skills all the time. We use it when we are looking at things in real life. We use it when we're looking and watching films, when we're listening to music. We use it when we're looking at texts, when we're looking at pictures. We use it on the street as we watch people. We use it when we're talking to our friends. A lot of our communication when we speak to one another doesn't just come from what's being said, it comes from what somebody's face is doing, it comes from what their hands are doing. We pick up all these little clues that help us work out whether somebody is happy, whether they're sad, whether they're nervous, whether they're comfortable, whether they're relaxed, whether they're agitated. We do all of this not just from what they're saying, but from how they're saying it and from what their body is telling us as they're saying it as well. And those clues are the same clues we get as we do inference. So I've just put this picture up. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just pause this screen here, and I'd just like you to tell somebody around you, whether that's your parents or whether you just write it down on a bit of paper and send it to me. It doesn't really matter. But this is just a practice at the moment, so don't write loads. But I just want you to think, what do you know straight away from looking at this picture? And then what else can you work out? Because there's things you know straight away. They're not inference, they're retrieval, I suppose. They're just saying what you see. But then talking about what else you think you can work out, that's where your inference is. So I'll give you an example. So one thing that you know from looking at this picture is that it contains one man, one girl. The girl is holding a kite. The man is sat on a swivelly chair at his computer, and he has books under his desk. They're all things we know. We could go a bit further. You could say that they're both in shorts and a t-shirt. The man wears glasses, the girl doesn't. These are all things we know, but they're not inference. What is inference is saying that you think that the man sat at the computer is probably the father, or at least the carer of this girl. The reason that you can probably say you think that is because the girl is clearly very comfortable with the person. She's leaning on the back of his chair and she's very close to him. Physically, she's very close to him. You could also say that you can work out the girl wants her dad's attention, or she wants the attention of whoever this man is, and that she'd quite like to go outside. You can say that because she's holding a kite and they're clearly inside because the dad's on the computer. Why else would you be holding a kite if it weren't because you wanted to go and play with that kite? And she's maybe trying to subtly get her dad's attention. She's not tapping him on the shoulder. She's not really pestering him. So maybe that's another evidence that this is probably a dad or a father figure, someone that she loves and respects, but is maybe just a little bit nervous of. She doesn't want to get in trouble. She doesn't want to irritate him while he's doing his work. So she's not tapping him. She's waiting, but she's waiting so close and leaning on his chair so that he really knows she's there. That isn't told to me. Nowhere has that written down. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm wrong, but I'm using the evidence that I can see from the picture. You might be able to work out something about the relationship between these two. Maybe the dad isn't always as interested in playing with his daughter as she wants him to be. because he's very fixated on his screen, isn't he? He's not turning around to look at her. Or maybe they're just in a situation where the dad has got to work and he would love to be out playing with his daughter, but he can't at the moment. Maybe he's going to be going out to play with her soon, and that's why he's in shorts. So he's ready to go out and play, but he just needs to finish off his last bit of work, and she's waiting patiently for him because she knows she doesn't need to nag him because he's going to come and play in a minute, and she's just looking over his shoulder to see what he's doing while she waits. There's lots we could say. The key with inference is you don't know if you're right and you don't know if you're wrong. All you know is what you think, and you support that with evidence that you can see. So that's what I think, and that was the evidence that I've just explained to you. It'd be interesting to know if you thought similar things when you first saw the picture. That's a model of what I'd like you to do. Obviously, in this model, I've spoken what I think rather than written it down, but I would like you to then write it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another picture now, and I'd like you to, when you see this picture, I'd like you to pause the screen, and I'd like you to write down for me all the things you know for certain, but then also all the things that you think you know. So I've just written that there. I want you to write down what you think you know and what your evidence is. It's the evidence I'm most interested in. Please don't stop when you've written one or two things down and you've just written down some obvious bits and you think, right, that'll do. Because that's not going to practice. That's not going to test your inference knowledge. And I want you to really test that inference knowledge. So what I want you to do is I want you to keep going, write down as many as you can think of, and then force yourself to think of some more things that you might know and what evidence you've got for that. Don't just stop because you think you've done. Keep pushing until you are literally completely empty of ideas about what you might know. It's a really interesting picture, this. Some of you, if you're in my class, you'll have seen this before. It's one of the very first things I ever got you to do some writing about. So you might have a bit of an idea, a bit of an advantage, but it was a while ago. I bet a lot of you have forgotten. There's a lot going on here. Just in case your screen isn't very good quality, I'll just talk to you about what there is on the screen, and then I'll be quiet and I'll tell you, you can then get started. So we've got this very white scene with some sort of barren, empty trees and bushes without any leaves or anything on them. We've got a lady in a thick black coat that is not buttoned up with a red scarf on, a blonde lady. This lady is reaching out and touching a tree, and on that tree is a carved love heart, and she's sort of gently touching her hand to that love heart. In front of her, she's got a little black dog with a matching red collar to match her scarf. And we can tell that she's sort of in a wood. There's some fencing further in the background. And so it would appear that she may have gone out for a bit of a walk. So they're all things you can see. I don't need you to tell me them. I've already told you. I want you to try and tell me what you think you know about this lady. Why is she there? Why has she gone out for a walk? Why is she touching the tree? Why is she on her own? Whose is the dog? All things like that. All the things that we don't know for certain. I'd like you to tell me what you think and what your evidence for that would be. And that's inference. Simple as that. If you want to continue testing your inference, this is a really, really fun activity, actually. And you can get your mum and dad, or your parents, or your carers, or your siblings, whoever you want, anyone who you're in lockdown with at the moment, to have a go with you. You need to sit at a window that looks out onto the street, and each person who walks by, you've got to really look at them, and you've got to try and tell whoever you're with something about them, and not just something obvious. See if you can work out something a bit different about them based on what you can see. It's a little bit like being Sherlock Holmes sometimes, but it's a really fun and interesting activity. But obviously do this one first. That's me getting off into a bit of a tangent. Right, that is the end of the tutorial. That's everything I've got to tell you. Have a real go at this. Send me what you've thought. written down, take pictures of it, scan it in, write it, type it, whatever you want to do, but email it over to me. I look forward to seeing what you've got to say about this picture. Obviously, you can pause it, keep it on the screen as long as you need it to be there. Hope you have fun with that. I shall speak to you again tomorrow. Oh, I tell you a lie. Tomorrow, Wednesday, that is your reading aloud tutorial. So I'm not doing a tutorial on it. That's your day where you can get your own books out, have a read it out loud, record them. I've had several people sending me some brilliant recordings. I'm really getting into, I'm going to have to buy some of these books that you're sending me recordings of because I'm hooked. Keep sending them in. Look forward to hearing those. That's what you're doing for Wednesday. So I'll be back with you for another tutorial on Thursday. I shall speak to you then. But for now, goodbye.